Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. The Red Sox got some players, said goodbye to some players. The Blue Jays say hello to some players. Woo Suck Go finds himself in San Diego. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's brought to you by SeatGeek. My name is Jimmy. We've got Jake sitting next to me, Trev coming to you from California, and BBD producing Big Baby Dan, not Dave, on the ones and twos, filling in for Beebs, who's in Austria, which is fake Germany. Why don't you just go to Germany? And we lost all of our Austrian listeners, damn. And we sent Beebs there just to get some more. Trev, how you doing? How was your holidays and your New Year's Eve?
James, thank you for asking. It was great. Had a nice little party on New Year's. Kind of went all out. So my first day of 2024, not so hot. Kind of relaxed and just recuperated. But I'm excited. I just told you guys it's Kobe year. It's T. Plouffe year. We're gonna be doing it. And I'm excited to talk some more because there has been a lot of moves. I know the offseason seems slow, but I feel like some of these moves are actually very impactful on the season. I know we got some bigger names ready to go, but I'm excited to kind of pick your brain. I had a show with Rosie the other day. We talked about it a little bit. I'm excited to see where you guys are at and all this stuff. I'm not going to talk about the Yankees with you because Dan's here and he's even more psycho than you two, so I'm going to stay away from that lane. But I'm doing well, to answer your question, Jake. Great sweater to start 2024 off.
Trevor, James, Dan. What up, yo? Excited to talk ball with the fellas. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what 2024 is. Kobe year. Posada to Kobe, people are calling it.
Oh, Dick Groat, 13th best baseball player, we're number 24.
Dan, bleep that out.
Tom Bernansky.
Okay, yeah. Bleep that out too.
Jimmy Wynn, my nickname.
You said there's a lot of moves. There's a lot of it's a lot of hopeful impact moves, whether it's Sale, Giolito, Frankie Montas in those Cincinnati Reds. Watch out. Mitch Garver getting the bag. So I don't know. I'm interested to dive in and see if there's more to it than we've been looking at. And man, we are in a real we were talking some Yanks before you hopped on, Trevor, but we're in such a funky part of the offseason, and the Sale trade probably kicks it off of the value of where starting pitchers are at and the money you might have to commit to the risk reward of those pitchers. We've hit a funky part of the offseason that I hope the trade market's about to go, because we've talked about that a lot and it hasn't fully gone yet. Because I don't know. There's still have hitter free agents started?
It has. Guys are taking their time. I mean, look, it's not easy to make a deal with these players or with the teams. They both have asks, and a lot of times this is what it's come to, is the waiting game. Who can hold out the longest? I know you're not good at that game, Jake, but that's how it goes.
I just like to get it out and grab a sandwich.
Wham, bam, slam. Thank you, ma'am. This is Jake. I've been great.
Sandwich. I never had that urge.
And make sure you go to SeatGeek if you got the urge to go see a show, concert, festival, whatever you might get into. SeatGeek has 70,000 events every single day. And with code TALKIN, you will get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. $20 off your first purchase with promo code TALKIN. Green means good, red means bad. App's pretty easy to use. Go download it. Maybe get some spring training ticks. It's that kind of year.
Oh, my gosh.
SeatGeek, code TALKIN, download the app.
All right, we got a lot of moves. We're going to start with the Braves and the Red Sox. And, one takeaway, I guess, like you said, Jake, some of these signings are being able to start to paint a big picture of this offseason. And it is kind of... one is that there's a lot of big gambling going on. The rates are up, and the guarantee results are low this offseason, in my opinion. Also, remember we did that ad for that guy who just loved buying your old shit? What was his name?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
It's a company, but it was named after a guy.
I want to say
like,
Dallas Clark, but that was the old tight end for.
No, it was I thought it was like
Indy.
Tom something.
It was the man.
Tom Clark card buying or something like that. Well, anyway, it feels like the Braves sent out a huge announcement, and it was like, if you're dumping payroll, but it's not that much, we're interested. Come our way. We'll buy your trash. You know those commercials? We're buying your old car. We're going to flip it. That's what the Braves have been doing all winter. So they get Sale, and like the money isn't even that bad, but the Red Sox get relief, and they give up Vaughn Grisham, a pretty highly ranked prospect in the middle infield for the Red Sox. The money's kind of crazy. I don't know if I've read it 5 times from 6 different people that have like tweeted it, and I still haven't fully wrapped my head around it. So Trev, looks like you have a handle on this.
I believe for this season they're only paying Chris Sale $500,000 because 10 is deferred money in the contract, and Boston picked up the other 17.
Yep.
So they're paying Sale $500,000.
Yes.
Yes, they still have to put that deferred money into escrow. We learned all of that with the Shohei deal, but it's not necessarily accounted for in their payroll this year. It does, I believe, go against the CBT, but actual money paid is $500K.
So
less than league minimum, which is interesting.
So basically what happened here, Vaughn Grisham turns 23 in 2 days. Happy early birthday, Vaughn. I think the Braves decided to move on from Vaughn Grisham. We remember the whole shortstop saga last year. We kind of thought he was going to be next. Ron Washington, Dansby moves on. Vaughn Grisham, we saw him get a cup of tea, and he was kind of awesome, and it was like, okay, the Braves have done it again. There's Michael Harris, too. Here's Vaughn Grisham. They just added another 10 years to their dynasty run. Orlando Arcia wins it, of course, with Braves Devil Magic. He's awesome last year for them. And Vaughn Grisham stayed at AAA. Now, the part I found interesting, Vaughn Grisham raked last year.
He raked.
Like, he killed it. So,
yes.
I know the defense has been a problem. Like, everyone that you talk to in Bravesland is like, hey, he's not a shortstop. Guess what? That's kind of okay. The problem with the Braves is, at second base, they've got Ozzie Albies on one of the most team-friendly contracts to ever exist in this sport, and they locked up young, thick Austin Riley for a decade. So those positions were blocked.
Arcia's making $2 million to play shortstop. They also have him on some weird deal.
Right, but I think the Braves have made it clear that they didn't want Vaughn Grisham to be a shortstop. I think they moved on from that thought process. They were starting to have him play some left field, and then, the Mariners wanted to get rid of Kelnick on a salary dump of very little salary. So now left field's taken. So Vaughn Grisham was going to be a depth piece for them this year. And Braves fans, maybe you've been spoiled. Us Yankee fans have not, because the Braves players just play every day. I was surprised that they traded Vaughn Grisham in this deal, just because he had 2 more years of minor league options. So if Ozzie Albies gets hurt, which he did in 2022, like, you have the perfect plug-and-play dude. But I think what they were looking at with this starting pitching market, which I think is going to lead to the conversation, they said we can take a chance on Chris Sale, who's coming off injuries. Last year is the most innings pitched he's pitched in a little while now, like 4 or 5 years. And, he's Chris Sale still. Like, it's a gross arm slot. The stats, the ERA is not great last year, but he did pitch at Fenway Park. The strikeouts are still there. The Braves said they're kind of viewing this as Charlie Morton when they traded for him, that they were like, hey, we think we can tap into a little more with him. And if, they're basically paying him nothing for this year. So the other side of it is, if you're the Braves, are they going to sign a Monty? And what kind of impact does he have? And you might have to commit 150, 175 mil. Blake Snell, instead, they're kind of taking all that risk out. They're saying, hey, we've got an asset in Vaughn Grisham. Let's move him to the Red Sox. And for the Red Sox, I think it's a massive win, too, because I don't think Chris Sale was going to have a big impact on their potential season, where Vaughn Grisham might be their second baseman for the next 5 years. So I love it for the Sox. It's a little greedy by Atlanta, but it's also low risk financially. And if Chris Sale looks like Chris Sale, he's going to be mowing down Harper, Schwarber, Ohtani, and Freddie come October. So that's what they're going for.
One thought you had to bounce off of you is that I think those numbers at AAA for Vaughn Grisham this year are so gaudy that they're thinking, hey, like his value's pretty good. Let's move on. Let's see what we can get for him. That's what I would conclude. But then I would think they would get more than Chris Sale, who's going to be your fourth pitcher until he gets hurt. Like that's
the $17 million getting kicked in, I think. That's what teams are doing now. They're paying. They're saying, "Hey, we want a bigger prospect, so we'll give you $17 million of the contract to get this guy."
I understand that, but if you're shopping Vaughn Grisham around and your agenda is to get talent for the 2024 season, I feel like you could get more than Sale right now. Who
Yeah.
I mean, if
Maybe.
you
I
talk to
don't
Red
know.
Sox fans, they're like, he's just gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
He hasn't been Chris Sale since 2019. I don't know. That's the last time I remember being like, oh, shit, Sale's pitching.
And Thopless had a quote saying this is the first normal offseason that Sale's going to have in quite some time. So maybe they're banking on that.
I do like that because players say that all the time.
Yeah. And what Jake said is completely true. I mean, the Braves have to face some diabolical lefties. And, like, it's nice to have a guy like Chris Sale, who I talked about this on Baseball Today. He's just different, dude. Like, the way he throws is different than anybody else in the big league. That's why he has the highest strikeouts per nine for any starter in the history of baseball. Like, he is an absolute menace. If you're up there, like, you guys remember you see it all the time on social media, the John Kruk, Randy Johnson, like, turns around and hits right-handed in the All-Star game. Like, that's what it's like for lefties against Sale. Like, they want no part of it. And they can say they do. Oh, it's great. If Sale's on and throwing the ball where he wants to throw the ball and his arm is live, like it's a very, very difficult to bat. So I do think I like the trade better for the Red Sox. I think Vaughn Grisham has a chance to be, like you said, an everyday middle infielder at league minimum and then into arbitration. You have all these years of control. And, just because he's not a shortstop, guess what? Every other player in baseball is a failed shortstop. That's just the facts, people. Everybody plays shortstop until they can't anymore. So, like, just because he made it to the league as a shortstop and it didn't work out, or almost, I guess, made it to the league as a shortstop and didn't work out, doesn't mean he can't be sufficient at second base or third base or an outfield. Like, he's an athlete.
I have a
Like,
question.
he's going to
Trev.
find a place defensively.
To all our, okay, I won't phrase it that way. If you're playing rookie ball and you're at second, is your path, is that usually you're not a first-round pick? Is your path kind of just like tough? Because you're right. Majority of the time it's center fielder, shortstops, catchers that are like, you won't stay at that position, but that's how that's where the best athletes are.
I think it just depends. Like, maybe you don't have the right arm strength to play on the left side of the diamond, but you're still able to field the ball and make all the routine plays so you can be at second. I think it's case by case, but I think if you're a shortstop, you will have more opportunities to move other places. And in fact, they tell you that from the get-go, and it's so hard to hear that as a player when you get drafted. You know, the good coaches will call you aside and say, "Hey, man, like, look, I know you're a shortstop right now, but the chances are you're going to be playing a different position at the big league level." They told me that so many different times, and I was a shortstop my entire minor league career. And then it happened. I mean, it's the truth. So
I went to the one guy who I would have bet money was a second baseman his whole career, and it is correct. Altuve.
Yeah.
There's no way you're putting him at.
He played a little short.
His freshman rookie year, 51 games, all at second base.
Didn't he play it in the big leagues?
The first time he played shortstop on this looks like winter ball for the Venezuelan league for one game. And then one game in the majors in 2016. He didn't start. And, okay, in 2018 he started 130. No, that's second base. I don't know.
My favorite.
No, he's never started a game at shortstop.
A little good minor league bobblehead out there that has some John Boy Media connections. The Myrtle Beach Pelicans, they gave out a bobblehead one year of their middle infield. It was shortstop Gleyber Torres, and it was second baseman Ian Happ.
Love that.
Who Happer used to move a lot before he kind of landed in the outfield. So
Gold glove, whoops.
I think baseball's evolved into a little bit, can you hit? And will find that position for you. And Von Grisham can hit. That's the thing that's blowing my mind. And he's like, at first, when I opened Von Grisham's page, I almost expected him to be like 25 because it's like, okay, yeah, he got called up young, and then we did the whole thing last year. Was he going to be their shortstop? And he wasn't. He's turning 23 in a couple days. Like, that's your team's prospect you're excited about who's in Double-A. They might be 23. So the fact that it's a double-edged sword, the fact that he's in this organization that has seen so much talent come through and has, like, I don't want to say created talent, but they clearly know what they're doing over there. The fact that they're willing to move on Von Grisham, that raises a little bit of a yellow flag because you're like, hey, they did have the 2 years of control. But I think the overlying thing is they think they can tap into Sale because they believe in their organization that way. And I think they're scared to either pay the price in the trade market for the other starting pitchers or pay the price in free agency for the other starting pitchers.
I do a little bit of Boston fan fiction right now.
Yes.
Just quick.
BFF.
Early before spring training really starts down there in Fort Myers, Florida. Trevor Story's like, you know what? This is my year. I'm going to get everyone back on my team. I'm a guy. I'm going to be the starting shortstop. This is going to be great. In walks in Von Grisham. Hey, man, things haven't been great for me lately either. Spent the whole year in AAA. Thought I was going to get the starting job. Didn't get it. Kind of have a chip on my shoulder. Do you want to be friends and work our ass off and be the best middle infield combo in all of the big leagues? Sure, Von. Let's go start working together. Can you imagine those two guys? Just pure athletes, bouncing off of each other, like having that chip on their shoulder. I think it has potential to be one of the more fun middle infield combos in the big leagues.
Okay.
Like the vet that has to prove something again, the young guy that was like, shit, man, like there was too much media talk before the season. I didn't even get the job. Now I feel like I'm in a weird spot. Like those two getting together and just saying, part of my French, fuck the rest of the world. It's on us. Like, I love that. I love that storyline, man. It feels like a Boston storyline to me. I'm excited for him.
Hope it happens. I'm excited for when we get to the playoffs and Snail's not Snail. That's a mixture of Blake Snell and Chris Sale. I was talking about just about Sale. When Sale's not in the rotation for the playoffs, but they bring him out for that first time through the lefties of the team he's facing.
Yeah.
And it's like, Randy Johnson in Little Big League, just kind of gross. Running out, dugout, whole stadium is like,
I like that.
that'll be fun.
Well, that's the
Do
other.
you see that as his path there? Do you think it?
Well,
you think
in
it'll
the
eventually
po-
come
in the
down to the
postseason.
postseason like that?
Well,
Keep him healthy
you
for the
really only need
postseason.
3 starters in the postseason, so he would have to be really healthy and work his way up to those top 3, which he can, or they can keep him as a secret weapon because you have that lefty where you can drop him right for a lane of lefties. That's going to be nasty.
I mean, Bryce Harper, big spot versus Chris Sale in the playoffs.
That's good versus evil on the line, and it depends which side you're looking at.
Yeah, that's tough.
Many
I
people
don't
have
know
different
if I would
sides
say
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's Bryce Harper as like the kind of Han Solo. Like he's mixed up in some bad stuff in his early days, and he was kind of merchant for hire. But end of the day, he's a good guy in Sale. Like Sale's the Condor.
Sale
man.
did throw me out of a limousine once. Don't forget that. Okay,
People-
still kind of on my shit list for that.
We won't forget that.
Yeah, I don't think we should forget that.
I think the other part that's interesting about this, let's say the Braves are the Braves and they do tap into Chris Sale and he has a nice, 140 inning year with, some good playoff outings. They're going to pick up his option too. It's 27.5, which for 1 year, and when
It's a team.
Club option.
club option.
Wow.
Or excuse me, 20 million. So
Yeah,
if Chris Sale is good this year, whatever that number means to you, they'll pick up that option. So
because $20 million for a starting pitcher is almost nothing now. Turns out.
which almost leads us to Lucas Giolito.
Whoa.
Yeah. You're not ready to go to Lucas?
You don't want to talk about
I am
him?
ready, but you said it means nothing, and then you said Lucas's name right after that. I don't like that.
We were just talking about the Red Sox, and that's the team he signed with. You probably didn't know that because you were like, Rosie, what are you talking about?
That's
Baseball
not
Today
true
ad.
at all. I've been talking to Lucas Giolito.
Okay, then tell us about it, Trev.
I didn't know at first that it's a player option. It's an opt-out essentially for the second year. So that made it a lot better for me as far as for Lucas. The 2-year deal thing, talking to guys, I always want to have more years, more guaranteed money attached. But like for him and even for like Flaherty, obviously these are two guys I'm very close with. I wanted them coming off a horrible platform year to have some sort of 1-year deal. When I found out the opt-out was there, I was excited for him. I think there are some things with Lucas that you can point to and be happy with if you're a Red Sox fan. I think the fact that he's made adjustments at the big league level and seen better statistics because of it. He's coachable, or he's willing to make adjustments. Horrible year with the homers last year. I think one point that I want to make is that he was pretty dang good with the White Sox, and then he gets traded twice. And now I'm not making excuses for him because, people, that's what happens. Sometimes you get traded, you're on a new team. But getting traded during the middle of the season, it's very hard to get like comfortable or like back into your routine. If you sign with a new team, that's why I think it's different signing with the Red Sox. He's going to have a full spring training to get to know everybody. He's going to have a full spring training to throw to the catchers, to learn, how they go about their business and pitchers meetings and how he's going to line up, how they're going to approach things, statistically and analytically. Like it means something to have those, 6 weeks to get ready. So I think, if you look at his numbers with the Angels, if you look at his numbers with the Guardians, I mean, I don't want to make excuses. You still have to pitch, but like it's not easy to feel like yourself when you get traded. You feel like you're just in a completely new environment, which you are, and it's difficult to get back into your solid routine. So I think that's one plus or a difference of him going to a new organization is that spring training factor. But I think the homers he is a fly ball pitcher, but I think last year will probably be his worst homers per 9 that he'll have in his career, some sort of an anomaly. At least I hope, and I think Red Sox fans are hoping for that as well. But he's an innings eater, man. He's gonna go do that for him, and I think that's not fair to. I think that has a negative connotation to it when you say innings eater. I don't think that's all that he has in the tank. I think he can be. I think he'd be still a top of the rotation starter if everything lines up. He's still young enough. He's still hungry enough. Like this isn't satiating enough for him. He wants more money. He's at that point where it's like do or don't do. And when you put a guy in that situation, I think he's going to work his ass off. I think things are going to go well for him. He seems like a Boston guy to me.
Jim?
I hear you on all that. Whoa, they just started drilling in the office right next door to us very loudly. I hear you on all of that. And I know he had a lot of shit going on last year, which you can point at to say that's not the norm. That's going to return. I still think the number is surprising. No, I still think it's higher than like we're used to for a with the option. It still is like a 1-year.
19, I think, if he declines the option.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like 2 years ago we were at like 10 to 15.
Well, guys are getting that. Like Gibson and Lynn got like 13 and 14, and Flaherty got 14, I think, as well. I think Giolito's track record is just a little bit better. So he demanded a little bit more.
I guess so. Happy for him.
If I told you could have Giolito, Lynn, or Gibby next year, and all the price tags were the same, who would you take?
That's a good question.
Gibby or Giolito. I like Gibby for clubhouse stuff a ton, so it depends what you need rotation-wise.
I think what Trev was trying to allude to is that Giolito has a chance to pop. Like this guy is in his prime. He's 29 years old. He has some big boy seasons in there. I think, like you mentioned, Trev, when he ends up with the Angels in Cleveland last year, as Cleveland's literally just looking for a Chad innings eater to finish their season. You take out those stats, 21 starts at 3.79 last year. He's pitching pretty well. The other thing, the White Sox were one of the most just dysfunctional teams in baseball the past couple years. So, like, let's start over. Like Jimmy said, he had some off-the-field stuff going on. let's come to Boston. Like, Boston's going to believe that they're going. That city believes in their baseball team until they don't. So early on, if they get some juice going on and Lucas Giolito shoving, that's going to be good. And like you said, Trev, the opt-out's huge. You know, if he has one good year, with Lucas Giolito can easily, he goes back on the market and he's going to get 9 figures. So, and an innings eater, it's funny, it's a double-edged sword, because you're right. There's a connotation there that, like, oh, well, so, okay, come playoff time, maybe we don't need you. That's not necessarily Lucas Giolito, but I love this fact that I think Dalt dug up, that he's one of 6 pitchers to throw at least 160 innings in each of the past 5 full seasons. So obviously 2020 throws a wrench in that, but it's Garrett Cole, Aaron Nola. Those guys got paid pretty well. Charlie Morton, Barrios, he got paid pretty well. Gibby, who we just mentioned, and Lucas Giolito. So if you're he ends up on every list. If you're the Red Sox, who you needed innings like that, going back to last year's TPPs and looking at their starting pitchers, we said, hey, there's a lot of injury risk here. Where are you going to get your innings? They're going to get innings from Giolito. It's scary. A year after he gave up 41 homers, your home stadium's now going to be Fenway. But the other thing that I like on that, I say this with baseball guys, if there's one thing you got to work on, like Lucas Giolito's offseason plan, how do I give up less homers? So I'd assume he's in the lab working on that. And I think the other thing that you can spin pretty optimistically on that is the other years, even Lucas Giolito's good season, he gave up homers. Like, it's not like he went from being this crazy sinker ball guy that just got lit up one year and what's going on. Like, if he can get those homers down just a little bit, he can be back to, if he's that 3.79 White Sox Lucas Giolito, like we're talking about with starting pitchers, if he hits the market at that price again, he's going to clean up next year.
I do wonder what the fuck happened when he went to Cleveland. Trev, can you ask him? I mean, he gave up 11 homers in those 6 games.
10 with the Angels.
And his numbers are eerily identical with the Angels in Cleveland as far as homers and ERA.
The pitch mix is wildly different. So, like, when he went to Cleveland, he, like, scrapped the slider. Maybe it was a feel thing, and he went changeup heavy, and, like, the changeup did pretty well besides giving up homers. Like, it had a 182 batting average, but a 455 slug. The fastball got absolutely rocked because it was only fastball changeup. I'm interested. I mean, for a guy to go to 3 teams and work with new pitching coaches for the first time, how much he was like, all right, I'll try whatever you're saying.
That's my curiosity. Did the pitching coach say, hey, man, you're Lucas Giolito, go out there and throw for 6 games? Or are they saying, do this, 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 and this?
My guess is the Angels didn't give him much advice because they aren't known to build up pitchers, and his pitch mix didn't change that much. And then when the Guardians got him, either he felt terrible about his slider or the Guardians said, we think you should do this, and he tried it. And I do think it's tough for players that, I mean, his pitching coach in Chicago was his high school pitching coach, so he's getting, like, kind of brand new ears in this, like, drop in, hey, you're here for 5 games, go fucking do this. And I'm just interested to see if he was like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, or he was just, I'll try it. And now he's going and talking to these free agents and talking to the Red Sox and like, well, I don't want to sign with you if you're going to do what the Guardians made me do. I fucking hated it. And, like, I just would love to hear his perspective, which you're buddies with him. Rose, buddies with him. I'm interested.
I will ask, but that's definitely something that I could see happening. These teams, these pitching coaches, these analytical departments, a lot of times they think they have, like, their finger on the pulse of what's you need to do, or I'm reading your stats and your data, and we believe this is the best way to outperform. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if he went and just you said he canned the slider and was just fastball changeup. I mean, changeup's that's kind of why right-handers don't throw right changeups, because it is a homer-prone pitch,
especially
don't locate it correctly.
High in the zone, and he likes throwing.
Yeah, he likes to throw high in the zone.
Which is crazy.
So I think that's that'll be something he works on. Pitch mix. I think there's an arm slot issue with him. Before the major mechanical thing that he cleaned up early in his career was his arm action. He used to drop it down here, way down low, bring it way back up, and then he got his high school pitching coach, Katz, and brought it real close here and back. So a little less, I guess it's less tension on the shoulder, gets you in a better arm position. Once he did that, his numbers started to skyrocket from the Nationals to the White Sox. So yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this about Lucas. He's willing to make adjustments. If Boston can tap into the best traits of him, I mean, I know 2019, I guess it ends up being fully guaranteed is a big number, but it is kind of what pitching is going for, man. Especially if you're doing the 1 year deal thing. It's
crazy.
You're going to give a little bit higher AAV just because it mitigates the risk for the team.
Just don't pitch him on the Boston Marathon day. I mean, the Red Sox know that. He doesn't like pitching at 11 a.m. Remember, he went like 0.2, 9 earned runs. He didn't like it.
Okay, yeah. Let's skip that one.
Yeah, just, call up a fucking rookie and have him pitch that day. Red Sox.
Just take it over.
Yeah.
That Bayo pitch, he's an ace.
The Yankees had Sevy do that twice last year. As he came up from the minors, his first 2 games were like 11 a.m. starts, and Sevy was just like, this sucks.
Dude, if you're a pitcher, go pitch on those days. No, you think the hitters are like ready to go? They're not.
Oh, but pitchers are
counter.
way more like creatures of habit and routine than batters. They're so small-brained. That was for you, Trev. That was for Trev. That was for Trev.
Did I send that to your brain?
Yeah. I was like, what would Trev want me to say here?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're not small brain. In fact, I think sometimes their brains get in the way.
I think I'm kind of team Trev there, though. 'Cause, like, I was on the pitchers like, oh, that does suck. Like, you got a starting pitcher. I don't want to be 11:05 in the batter's box, and here comes 97. Like, screw that.
Yeah, but it's only 92.
I haven't even had my eggs Tyrone yet.
What?
That?
What are we moving on to?
That hat?
Oh, Mitch.
Trev, this is your guy, Mitch Garver, Twins legend and World Series legend. He gets a bag. 2 years, $38.5 million, Trev. I know you sometimes laugh when you think of your old teammates and what they're up to. Gibby before, as one of the best pitchers in baseball, still just getting paid and laid. Mitch Garver, who's got some really interesting hitting stats the past couple seasons. You got to butter knife him because there's a lot of injuries involved, and he might not be catching maybe at all because the Mariners also have Cal Raleigh back there. But I think the Mariners are taking a bet on Mitch Garver being their third catcher / everyday DH, and if he hits like he has the past couple years, that's what they're going for. And I was like, this is DePoto's first multi-year free agent contract for a hitter, and Mitch Garver's their guy. So, Trev, you know him the best. I kind of gave my whole piece.
Technically not a former teammate because they cut me loose before he made his debut in Minnesota. But I am familiar with Mitch, and I do. He did come on sequence with me, and we talked about his swing. I think that was after he went completely off in 2019. Go check the numbers out. Almost one dot of it. This is what I think is happening. I don't think he's going to be catching anymore. He might throw the gear on a couple times out of necessity. But yes, I think what they're betting on is if you look at his numbers, he really hasn't had a full season of at-bats ever. When you're a catcher, that happens a lot, but the most at-bats he's ever had in a season was 359. 359 plate appearances. That was in 2019. I think they're betting on Mitch Garver. He's a very heady hitter, very detail-oriented, very mechanically driven, understands the process of the swing and, biomechanics and all that stuff. He's a student of the game, which I love. Because I think if you know your body and know how it's supposed to move, I think you can make adjustments better. I think your slumps are less prolonged and you're able to kind of get back to your base. So, in saying that, I think they're just banking on him like, hey, we're going to give you 500 plate appearances and you're probably going to hit us 30 homers. You're probably going to give us, 350 OBP. You're going to slug a little bit. Like, I think they're banking on him getting better as a hitter if he doesn't have to necessarily worry about catching all the time, and he's getting just consistent ABs. But the guy has it in him to be a guy. I thought the Mariners were going to go out and get JD Martinez and plug him in as their DH. But I think Mitch Garver can produce similar results at this point in their careers. I think he's younger than JD, obviously, and he's got a good enough track record to show that he can be a sufficient DH. Like, I think he can do it. I really think that if you give him 500 plate appearances, like, he's going to approach the 30 home runs. He's going to give you professional at bats. I think he's going to be great for the clubhouse as well. Like, not another hitting coach. I don't think they necessarily need that. But when you have guys like that, like in the locker room, around the cage, it's just, we say it all the time and people don't believe it, but it just helps out a lot throughout the season, man. A fucking hitting coach, there's usually 2 now per team. It's a lot of people to talk to and to take care of. Like, if you have a guy that's understands the process the way he does, it's just, that's not the reason they gave him all that money. The reason is they want him to perform on the field, but it's a nice bonus to have. I think Mitch is going to thrive there in Seattle.
Well, it fits their profile a little bit. I mean, he's above league average in strikeouts at like 25%, and they've been trading guys away, and they said they want to cut out all the strikeouts, but he's got an 11% walk rate, which put him, I think, second on the team, the Mariners, last year. I think he's 98% in chase rate, so they're trying to change their dynamic to less strikeouts. That's why they moved on from Kelenic and Suarez and Teoscar. Those were the top 3. They were all 30% strikeout percentage. I think Mitch was 20-something last year. 25, which is still above league average. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to figure out the money. How much did Suarez, was he owed in Kelenic? Because then was it about dumping their salary at all, or are they really fixated on, hey, we got to cut down on strikeouts? We'll pay that money to a player, but we don't want to pay for strikeouts.
Suarez, 11 mil this year, 15 mil team option. Kelenic was, I think he's still like pre-arb, so he wasn't. They were getting off Evan White and Marco Gonzalez.
Evan White and Marco Gonzalez, yes. Because, there's a decent amount of money for a team that was shedding payroll, but I think they're trying to replace payroll, and they said no more strikeouts. So Mitch better be ready not to strike out.
Was it 19.25? Is that the math? That's
it's a big number for a guy that doesn't have a lot of games played. I think, Trev, I liked where you started. Let's see where JD Martinez's contract lands, because that's a guy with, a much more proven record as a DH on a team, that if the numbers come out similar, I think you'd kind of be like, hey, Mariners, like, I don't know. But they might not, because, I don't know, with the money getting thrown around, maybe JD gets closer to 25-ish. I don't know.
I think they approach the game similarly, as far as, JD's known as one of the old school, like, not old school, like one of the first hitting revolution type of guys. Like, we talk about Josh Donaldson with it. I mean, JD Martinez was one of the guys that completely revamped his swing and can change his entire career. Also a very heady hitter. So I actually think they're very similar. Obviously, JD's track record is much better as a hitter.
Justin Turner.
But I think age, Justin Turner's one. I think age played a factor into it.
Always does.
Those are the 3. I read that book. Shout out Jared Diamond, Swing Kings.
I never really read that book, but I'm sure I would like it.
I read
it.
I enjoyed it.
Well, there's a bit, there's hitting Twitter is just in a funk right now. There's a couple guys just fighting all the time. I've actually left my post as hitting Twitter aficionado.
Well, it's a bunch of guys fighting because Teacher Man 98 has taken the fucking throne with all his recent success, and now everyone else is dead and buried. Rise, Teacher Man 98.
Chris Colabello and Teacher Man are going at it.
Always. Teacher Man is a troll that is also a very successful hitting coach.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
He's got Judge, Rizzo, Hap.
When you teach someone one time, you could.
They go to him. Judge has a private session with him every 2 weeks. Wherever city Judge is in, he rents a batting cage, flies Teacher Man 98 out, and does a private lesson.
Judge, whatever you're paying him, I'll do it for free. And I'll teach you just as well.
You can't teach the snap.
I can. I fucking can. Aaron Judge,
fucking snap.
I mean, talk about the greatest pupil to ever have.
Well, you seen his swing in 2016?
I would have cleaned it up too.
I don't know. You don't. It's all about those key words, and you wouldn't have been saying those words. Snap.
You're right. I would never have said that. But
I think his name is like Robert Schneck. or something like that.
No, I have no problem with him. Like, look, this is the thing about
His
hitting
story
coaches.
is
They all do
awesome.
it differently.
He's kind of a jerk online. That's like his reputation. He even says it. But if no one knows, read Swing Kings. His story is awesome. It was an old man in his sweatpants.
I've read his, yeah.
Who just was obsessed with hitting and would watch tapes over and over again and had no clients. And then was like, he's like, I think I see something. And then he just called up every player like, hey, this is it. This is it. This is it.
That's my favorite hitting coach social media party trick is showing a video and then just doing, if you know, you know. It's like, okay, bro.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
That
relax.
is how that...
What did you see?
The guy, Ben Skoyak, or the original one, Tewsbury, these are all the names.
Wallenbrock.
Wallenbrock was the same thing. He would set up... The book's cool. Go read it.
Yeah. Well, me and Craig go way back.
Okay. I like that. Next up, the Blue Jays did some stuff. They bring Kiermaier back. They got him on a 1-year, $10 million deal. I thought he was going to get like 2 years, 20, or a 2-year deal. I know he's getting older, but he's still like a Gold Glove level center fielder. So I was a little surprised it's only 1 year. And then they also got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, not familiar.
Yes.
2 years, $15 million, with $1 million in incentives.
Trev?
I love it. Okay. Love both the players. I'm so curious about like the Blue Jays thought process and all of this. I know they won the Team Gold Glove Award. Like they were excellent defensively last year. But when I really think about the Blue Jays, I'm like, these dudes break. Is it your first thought process with the Blue Jays? Am I totally wrong about that? Like the fact that they have gone like kind of like, I don't want to say defense first, but it's definitely obviously on their mind is kind of strange to me. I like it. I mean, let's try to be good. Hey, here's a thought process for every team. Let's try to be good defensively, offensively, and have a good pitching staff. We should just try to do those things all the time. Let's not say we're going to bang and not play defense, although the Phillies did that, and that kind of worked out for them. I don't know. I like it. I'm reading this article on Fangraphs, and we know how good Kevin Kiermaier is, but I want to read this section here. Kiermaier is the greatest center fielder of the modern statistical era. No other outfielder comes within 10 points of him, neither DRS or outs above average. His defense makes a convincing argument that players should earn bonus points for impossible catches and spectacular throws. And if you really haven't watched Kiermaier play, like on an everyday basis, you might think that's stupid or ridiculous, but like if you do watch him play, and I had respect for him before I was his teammate because I saw him make great catches. But when I was his teammate and did get to see him play every day, it is shocking. Like the balls that he gets to, I couldn't fathom anybody else get to. I don't know if it's the breaks. I don't know if he just has the quickest first step. His routes are perfect. He's a fucking menace out there. And I kind of love the Blue Jays for saying, we have these guys that are going to rake, but like playing defense too. I don't know. I felt the Blue Jays should be so much better as a baseball team. I feel like they've underperformed, and it's starting to piss me off. I'm thinking about it.
Running hot, Trev. Yeah, the Kiermaier side of this, I'm a little surprised it was 1 year, 10.5. Like if you go around the value a center fielder can provide with just his defense alone, kind of lands him close to that number. And he hit a little bit last year, 741 OPS. KK, he's seen a lot of baseball. I think sometimes he can cheat on a pitch and he gets there. But hey, apparently he liked it there and he signs 1 year, 10.5. They had like an all-time historic defensive outfield last year between him and Varsho, and it's fun to watch, man. I mean, try to put a ball between those two. And never mind George Springer, who pretty damn good himself, getting up there in years a little bit. But and yeah, Trev, I don't know. The Blue Jays are in a funky spot because that top of that lineup still kind of feels like what we thought the Blue Jays were. Springer, Bichette, Vladdy, boom. Right now, after that, Danny Jansen, Kevin Biggio, Davis Schneider, Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, and Kevin Kiermaier. Some good ball players there, but there's not a lot of like, hey, pencil this guy in for 20 homers. So the Blue Jays lineup, and let's see where they're at in their offseason, because they still, they're supposedly in an Ohtani. They've lost Matt Chapman, Brandon Belt. Like, I think the Blue Jays are still going to make more moves. that's where I'm a little surprised by the IKF move. And hey, let's be honest, there's some Yankees history here. The guy is everything you want off the field and personality-wise in the clubhouse. He hustles. He'll play any position. He took it on the chin when he had to on New York. And he had his moments, like I'll be honest. And I guess what I'm intrigued by, and this is coming from a lot of Blue Jays fans, like they have Santiago Espinal, who's kind of a bench, a util type role player for them, who's still, pre-arb, arbitration under control. Kind of a similar skill set. So a lot of Blue Jays fans were like, hey, what's going on here? I guess the only thing where I'm raising kind of a yellow flag on this, we've always wondered. We've thought this Blue Jays team was going to have to make a decision on Bichette and Guerrero. I'm wondering if this could give them some flexibility if they wanted to move Bichette. Because IKF can be a stopgap shortstop. Heard that before. That if maybe they're going to move on from Bichette, if they're going to pick between Vladdy and Bichette to give a big extension to, and maybe they could get a ton of value for Bichette and get some different assets, maybe IKF can be their backup plan at shortstop, because with Espinal, with Kevin Biggio, with Davis Schneider at your corner infield spots, like you have very similar talented baseball players that adding IKF to that mix for 2 years, 15, I don't know. I guess I was surprised by the number, and maybe there's something else I'm missing.
Schneider had a big year offensively last year. I mean, not a lot of plate appearances, but I think they're counting on him to be in that lineup every day. I don't know, man. I don't know if that means you're kind of reaching there with the Bichette thing and the stopgap. I don't
explain the 2 years, 15 mil to me, Trev.
He's a guy that can spell any one of your players defensively at any position. So, it's a guy that you like to have on your team so you can make those, get those off days or just plug and play. If someone does get hurt, anybody can get hurt. He can go play. I think it's valuable to have those guys. Espinal can't play the outfield, right? And Biggio, I don't know what you got with that.
IKF couldn't play the outfield until last year when they stuck him out there and he wasn't good. Also, he's not good at short or second.
He can he can play anywhere on any given day. I think it's valuable to have that
sure.
Go talk
I think
to
other guys.
You guys talk to Booney a lot.
I think he says yes to playing anywhere is maybe the better way to say it, because a lot of players.
He's serviceable anywhere, and you can't say that about. You can't say that about every player, man.
No, you can't. He's really bad offensively, so. The article says they're going to play him in the platoon role to get everyday at-bats. That's crazy to me. He just hasn't shown to be a plus. He's always 20 points lower than average. And doesn't have a skill set offensively. I mean, his skill set is he can foul off 2-strike pitches sometimes. So
if they love this defensive approach, then he's a guy that fits perfectly for them. If that's kind of like where their head is at.
But they just had so many bad outfielders, and they went and redid their outfield to get good outfielders, that it makes sense to get IKF to play the outfield because he's not an outfielder. He did it by necessity. He was right below serviceable, I think, but they had him in center field. The Yankees fucked around and screwed IKF's 2 years in the major
maybe he's a better
Maybe
player than the Yankees made him out to be.
Maybe.
They definitely didn't help him out by putting him at short for a full year and not helping him when he asked for help. I want to go back to Kiermaier, though. I didn't get a chance to respond to some of that stuff, which was interesting because, I like jump and route and reaction. And also, I feel lucky that we got to watch Kiermaier in the AL East for so long because he's so good. And he used to piss me off with all his hot dog eye wash stuff. But he's so good that that's probably why it hurt. But like if a ball goes over the fence by 20 feet, he acts like he's going to rob it. And I was like, come on, dude. Get off that wall.
It's not eye wash.
Well, that is.
He believes until the last second.
He really believes. That's one of the most confident guys.
Well, I think he's really, I don't know what the numbers say, but he's good at coming in on the ball. Like that's where I used to think he would rob the Yankees like crazy. Like just him sliding in or diving headfirst forward. But it's very interesting, Trev. You talked about his reaction, his route running, what he's good at. Earlier in his career, he was really fast with reaction, but bad with route running. which
that makes sense.
Which you can still be a top outfielder by doing that.
Acuna.
Jackie Bradley Jr. was like this. He was like just fast as shit, but his routes were not good, but still top outfielder. Where Trout, slowest reaction in the league, but the most efficient route runner. As Kiermaier has aged, his reaction has gone down and his route efficiency has gone up, and his burst in the middle is back up. So like once he like starts his finds his lane, he's now last year had the second fastest like sprint to the spot that he's had in his career. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
he looked healthy when I saw him last year. I think I mentioned to you guys how like his legs just looked phenomenal. Maybe that's part of it.
He had the best like feet for like average feet covered last year. Out of all
there was like a
fielders.
time where him and Adam Jones were kind of going back and forth about like the Gold Glove, and I forget who was what. One of them played in, and the other one played back. I believe Jones played very shallow, and Kiermaier played very far back. And if you're trying to prevent extra base hits, obviously you want to play back. I think Jones was on the side of, hey, I'm trying to prevent all hits.
Yeah, Kiermaier definitely plays back. That's why I said I remember him coming in so much. And looking at the data, he barely has any outs above average going back, because I don't think he ever really goes back, and he's got a ton outs above average coming in.
And that's early Rays defensive shift stuff that they were the first team to like guard the wall.
Yeah,
basically.
and Jones was playing center field when you had old school pitchers still around that were like, over your head's my fault.
That's exactly what I say. Hey man, if hit the ball over your head, they deserve that double. I'm like, whoa, should we just try to defend it anyway?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's
go
the Jays.
KK go, man. He is one of the most confident people I have ever met in my life. And I love being around it.
I was interested having him on the Yankees this year. They went and got a bunch of other outfielders, so I'm happy with what they did in the outfield. But yeah, I like watching Kiermaier play. I've come to enjoy even the eye wash stuff.
When he spins the glove.
Yeah. He does a lot of
Pretty
stuff.
hot. If you're the best of a generation, you better. I mean, that's kind of.
Remember the interview where he called them my outfielders? Got a lot of shit. He called off, was it Margot or someone? He like ran in front and like caught it in front of him, and then they asked him about it afterwards, and he was like, "Well, I tell my outfielders like you got to listen," and it was people were like, "What?"
That's Kevin Cash letting him do whatever the fuck he wants, dude.
Yeah,
love that.
Was there one more? Frankie Montas got a ton of money, 14 mil.
Some NL pitching. Maybe we just parlay it till next step.
Woosuk go. Padre.
And your short king.
Padres
Matsui.
get a couple of relievers. Frankie gets his deal to kind of be the next Sonny Gray out of New York into Cincinnati, revive the career. I dig the storyline. I'm happy for that.
Wow. Yuki Matsui, 5'8", 167. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome. Well, good job. Great job, Dan.
Hey, Johnny DeLuca, congratulations. You're a Ray.
Oh, my God.
And I hung out with you on New Year's Eve. So.
Oh, wow. Did you guys kiss at midnight?
Me and Olivia kissed at midnight.
Nice.
A nice one.
Oh. Anyone watching?
I don't know. Johnny probably was.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Okay. See you later. Goodbye. Next up, rule changes and anything else that happens. Start letting people know what's coming. Jake sucks.
When is our next step?
As soon as Chapman
Monday?
signs.
Forgotten Rotten guys, huh?